Hey there! So this is the very first video for JewishDrinkingcom, and I might also turn into a podcast, so it's the first of that also. Now you might be saying to yourself, what is JewishDrinkingcom? Well, let me tell you, it's a website. That's the first thing you need to know. It's a website. It's also the #1 resource on the internet for Jewish drinking texts. Now I know you might be thinking to yourself, how has that not existed before? Maybe they are out there. If you can find one, if you can find other websites out there that are direct competitors, I would love to see them. I clearly have not done my research to tell you that there is absolutely zero other websites out there that discuss exactly and solely dedicated and focused on Jewish drinking texts or just Jewish drinking in general. Please let me know. But you can feel free to drop it in the comments, email me. You can email Drew at JewishDrinkingcom. That'll get to me. It'll land in my inbox, and I'd love to chat. So for right now, we're just going to say it's the #1 resource on the internet for Jewish drinking related texts. Okay, so you might be asking, what is on JewishDrinkingcom? Well, right now, it's primarily 3 areas of content that I'm interested in: biblical texts that involve drinking, rabbinic texts from Mishnah, Tosefta, Babylonian Talmud, etc. There are plenty of other pieces of rabbinic literature, and then finally post-Talmudic halachic literature. So those are the 3 textual areas that I plan on focusing on. If you've checked out the website, you can look at blog posts I've written elsewhere that I've imported to the website for your reading pleasure, and you can check those out there. I've also actually created some source sheets that are also valuable resources, as well as links to some of the Sefaria resources, the Sefaria source sheets that I've created. I maybe actually, who knows, maybe I'll also throw in links to other people's Sefaria source sheets that they've created. Why not? This could be a one-stop shop for Jewish drinking resources of whatever textual needs that you may have. I'm doing this video, and hopefully we'll be doing more videos and maybe turning these into podcasts. That's a whole new ball of wax I need to be figuring out for you. And that is basically what JewishDrinkingcom is. If you have other ideas of what it could be, other suggestions for content, I'm open. Hit me up, Drew at JewishDrinkingcom. At this point in the video, or podcast, you're probably wondering, who are you and why are you doing this? Great question. I'm Drew Kaplan. As you may or may not have Googled, I am also a rabbi, and I graduated rabbinical school 10 years ago. It was great, learned a lot, and served for over a half decade out in Southern California doing rabbi stuff, teaching a lot of college students, young adults, and inevitably college students and young adults are interested, would you believe it, in Jewish drinking. And I eventually at one point did a series of classes, Torah on Tap, would you believe, a Torah on Tap, and discussing Jewish drinking texts. There's actually a lot, and through that it started getting me thinking like, there's a lot of stuff out there that people may not be really aware of the really cool stuff we have in our tradition. So that was a little bit of a seed that got planted and got me thinking about that. But really, the story that's more relevant to 2019 is at the beginning of this year, I created a website. It's called Textual Insights. The link is right here, but it's basically texts.rabbidrew.info. It's still right here, right? Still on the screen. Woo, where are you? You can also, maybe I'll plop a card somewhere on the screen and it'll be down in the comments. But there I was really dedicated to the same stuff I mentioned before, biblical, rabbinic, and halachic texts, and discussing them. And it turned out that most really what I was doing was about drinking. There happened to be other topics in there as well, but really it was about drinking. And I kicked myself. I said, this is such a mistake. How could I be writing so much stuff about drinking and not focusing on that? So eventually it came down to really in the last month, I said to myself, I need to pull this trigger. I need to make it happen. And I need to create a website for Jewish drinking. As it turned out, people were suggesting, hey, you should do TorahOnTap.com because I've taught Torah on Tap classes at breweries and elsewhere, and it was actually taken by a rabbi in Texas. And that's nice and all. And actually it was serendipitous because I wasn't in love with TorahOnTap.com, the concept of Torah. I didn't really want to focus just on beer, let's say, because you can't talk about Jewish drinking without wine. So simply JewishDrinkingcom was available, and I went with that. How could I not? It's super duper appropriate. That's exactly what we're discussing. JewishDrinkingcom. So that's the story how it got started. That's what I want to share, the wisdom embedded in the Jewish tradition and various halachic guidance and all that stuff. There's a lot. Trust me. If you've even checked out the website so far, you can see that there's more than you even expected. Hey, this sounds like a cool little intellectual exercise enterprise, but who actually cares? Who would read this, right? Or listen to this or watch these videos? So my answer is a lot of people, actually. So I think there's some sort of trend in America generally, and perhaps throughout the world for all I know, of people are getting more interested in drinking, but there are certain demographics amongst others. So you've got young people who are new to drinking, who might have an interesting fascination with that, whether they're college students, young adults, etc. But they're not the only ones. Turns out that a lot of Jews drink. It happens. There may even be our Gentile friends who are also interested in what does the Jewish tradition have to say about this? I know it's interesting. Actually, I'm thinking even the biblical text could be interesting, especially to our Christian friends, of like, oh, this is an interesting story in the Bible, or something that happened, like beer in the Bible is something I want to talk about. That's a thing. That's not exclusive to Jews as far as a matter of interest for them. Hey, that could be, there you go. So who is JewishDrinkingcom for? Well, probably lots of people. Basically, anybody interested in Jewish wisdom, stories, halachic texts, etc. in the Jewish tradition. I'm talking about Bible stuff, which actually can appeal to a much broader audience, especially anybody who's interested in the Bible, Christians, etc. Rabbinic texts. I love my Talmud stuff. It's really great, and there's actually more than you would think there. And also halachic stuff, which is going to have a much narrower audience, which that comes with the territory. The halachic stuff is really going to probably be more interesting for those who have a halachic interest. It's going to be a lot smaller than, let's say, the biblical stuff. But I think that could still be of great interest, whether they're for Hillels want to talk about it, Moishi House, someone who called me up, someone I spoke to on the phone today suggested Kiddush clubs could have a really interesting and niche interest in this particular this topic. So that's something that's really fascinating. But even, who knows, adult ed groups at shuls, there could be other classes going on. There are a surprising number of people who are actually interested in the topic of looking at these texts. Now, there also could be a broader range of interest, because let's say I decide to do more of these videos and podcasts and bring on guests, and those people could talk about areas of expertise beyond me. So whether that's Hasidic texts, Kabbalistic texts, maybe even history stuff. Someone could talk about Jews getting their wine during Prohibition. How did that happen? So they could maybe be a guest. It's not really within my field of expertise of these specific texts, but who knows? It's still about Jewish drinking in history, so maybe these historical pieces could be an interesting facet to include within the videos and podcasts aspect of this. Okay. Now, you may have been watching this video, and astute observers that you are may be wondering, you're Jewish, but where's the drinking? How could you have a drinking show, website, and not do drinking? That's like someone doing a gardening show or having a gardening website and not doing any gardening. Or maybe a cooking show and doing no cooking whatsoever. I hear you. That's totally appropriate and 100% the question you should be asking at this point in the video. However, last week when I announced that I created this website, a few folks reached out to me on Facebook and said, hey, this is a fantastic idea, but not everybody's into alcohol, and actually some people struggle with it mightily, whether it's alcohol abuse, alcoholism, etc. You need to have something on your website. So I never ever had thought about that, but I immediately placed a page on the website directing people if they have issues or know of people, and sort of sending them into places that could serve as resources for them. I also wanted to make a point on this very first video. I know it's very off-brand to be a drinking platform and not doing any of it in this very first video. I get it. But at the same time, I wanted to make a space for those who struggle with drinking, to not always be drinking. So in this first video, I wanted to make sure that I'm not drinking and make a space for those of you out there who may struggle with this issue. As we're coming to a close, I just want to say I have not officially put it out there, not a major launch yet, of JewishDrinkingcom. I would like to. I'm not trying to keep this a secret. I would like to get a lot of traffic and make this like a really cool project. You can feel free to like the page, like this video, share the website, the page, etc. Tell your friends, hey, there's this really cool project that's bubbling up. He just created this last week, and we're trying to, and I'm trying to grow it. I'm trying to build it. Now that I've laid out basically what I envision JewishDrinkingcom to be as a resource with both source sheets, textual analysis, hopefully some videos and podcasts, I'm open to other ideas, what I can include, how it can be a resource for you, how it could, maybe you've got a friend who says, oh, I really wish there would be, and boom, that's an idea. Or I'm really thinking there's probably lots of topics out there in which you might be interested in. What can I deal with? What can I tackle? How can it be more of a resource for you? Maybe these videos or podcasts, if you have suggestions for what I'm doing, maybe you have suggestions for guests who would like to come on. So there's a lot of content stuff that I would really like to develop. There's a lot of stuff that I have in mind. I have lists, a nice chunky list of topics to be tackling for JewishDrinkingcom, but maybe there are some that you have that I have not yet thought of. Maybe there's some very niche topics. So I'd love to hear anything you have. Again, Drew at JewishDrinkingcom. You can hit me up. Finally, I would like to make this a financially sustainable project, and I would like to make it like really cool. So I would love to hear any ideas you have for advertising, for financial sustainability. If you have suggestions for what I could do, maybe with something like Patreon, something of that nature. If you have ideas, maybe you have sponsorship ideas, maybe there's someone you know who would be really awesomely cool and down with sponsoring videos, podcasts, websites, whatever it is, or blogs, who knows. Please let me know. That's something that I'm not strong with. And if you out there have great ideas, if you say, hey, there's this really cool project bubbling up, it's not even officially launched yet, it's going to be awesome, you want to sponsor an episode of this video, podcast, whatever, hit me up at JewishDrinkingcom. I would love to hear those ideas, because that's not my strength, right? I'm a content creator, but I'm super duper open to suggestions. I'm still building out by the way, if you're interested, I know I've gotten some comments about the layout. I'm not happy right now with the layout design. I'm still tinkering around with that. Content's my number one focus. I'll keep playing around with that design, see where we get, and now I'm even doing video, hopefully podcasting, and seeing where that takes us. So stay with me on this. If you like this, please join me on this journey, this project of JewishDrinkingcom, and I would love to see where it takes us in spreading the really cool wisdom, textual traditions that we have in Judaism. Jewish thought, Jewish literature, Judaism, whatever. All right, anyways, JewishDrinkingcom, like on Facebook, this video, blah, 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 blah. Thanks.